So hopefully the volume's all good when I play this clip. It's quite a long one, but I feel like there's a lot to analyze in this video, and this is great work from Channel 4. This one is painful to watch, and some of this stuff I could have told you about, but Boris Johnson's kind of success within the Red Wall and his continued success within the Red Wall is terrifying in certain seats. And if this continues on, then he'll keep these seats in the next election, 2024. And man, I don't know, man. I don't know what happens after that. We're gonna watch this video and then I'll pause it in places and stuff like that as usual. But yeah, this is great work from Channel 4.
2 years ago.
If we can get Brexit done...
A Tory leader stealing a traditional Labour backdrop. One particular image that day, so dreamy the campaign team put a lifelong Labour supporter with his battered homemade banner on manifesto cover.
It's just... This is a great propaganda piece because you've got a load of, people that work in manufacturing and stuff like that saying we love Boris on, a battered sign, and really does trying to give you the idea that white working class people are backing Boris Johnson, and that's what he wanted and that's what he needed to win, and he got it.
You dug it out.
My guy still got it as well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You wrote this yourself?
Yeah.
You're on the back of the Conservative manifesto with this?
Yes, they actually sent me the manifesto.
Yeah.
And it's on the back of it. I was over the moon.
We've polled some of the Labour seats that went Tory in 2019 to see whether Boris Johnson 45 seats at the last general election.
So this is about polling of Red Wall seats, and you're going to see, it's not looking good for the Labour Party, let me put it that way.
When we polled these same seats 4 months ago, Labour had surged ahead, the Tories had dipped. This was pre-vaccine during the November lockdown.
So, obviously the lockdown was painful for a lot of people, especially given how late and how long it was. But, you can see here that Labour had a decent point margin, 6 points, which is pretty decent, especially considering what was, inherited in the situation. You can see the Conservatives are ahead by 9, so, he got a good plus rating there, which a lot of people give credit to Starmer for. But the thing is, if he gets credit for this, he has to get criticism when the points drop, and that's what we're going to look at now.
Now, 4 months on, and the Tories have pulled back to their general election position. Labour just slightly better than their general election position.
Oh, just go back just quickly here, and
back to their general.
You cannot praise Starmer for getting the points up here and then back down here. Talking about a vaccine boost and stuff like that, because it's not just down to that, and that's something that's shown within this video. It's down to the perception that Rishi Sunak has done a good job with the furlough scheme, even though it missed out people that were self-employed, didn't give enough money to people for sick pay. Things like that, how late the lockdowns were and things like that. The vaccination program is going well, but it is going to slow down because of manufacturing slowdowns, and also the fact that the EU are going to take a larger share of the vaccines produced in the EU, which people can get mad at them for that, but at the end of the day, AZ has a contract with them and has to fulfill that contract as well. So you can get upset about that in the comments. I really do not care. Point being is that yeah, he's got the points down on net, but with the vaccines being doled out, and once the country starts coming out of lockdowns fully, I reckon this point gap is going to increase a lot more.
Election position, Labour just slightly better than their general election position.
Fair enough, he put us into lockdown a bit late, but...
A bit late, bro. He was 5 weeks late. Like, these sorts of people here, I don't know how the Labour Party appeals to them, because this guy is most likely a low information voter. So I don't know. I don't want to be mean to the geezer, but it wasn't a bit late. It was 5 weeks late, pal. The second lockdown. The first one wasn't as bad, I think, but it's still pretty bad. He missed 5 Cobra meetings, pal.
He was trying to keep the economy going as well. There was Brexit coming. There was everything. He had everything on top of him. He seems to have got the...
Yeah, he voted for Brexit. He supported Brexit, pal. Again, so... Brexit was on top of him. That was his own doing. The EU offered a longer transition period. He didn't want to take it. Like, come on, dude.
Do it all. He seems to have come out the other end an even better man.
That's a bold statement right there.
The 17.4 million people have voted for Brexit.
Dave Forder was also there when Boris Johnson came to town.
I have a long memory on some leaders, Tory leaders, especially Margaret Thatcher.
Do you think this guy's different, Boris Johnson?
Oh yes, I do. I think he cares more for the people, probably.
Seriously, bro. Didn't we have like over 100,000 COVID deaths? Did he care about any of those people who died? He cared more about the economy than the people of this country. Let's not go twisted now. He didn't go into lockdowns for economic reasons. So this idea that he cares for people is a joke. But this is how these people feel, and it's hard to attack that. It's hard to change that.
Whereas Margaret Thatcher didn't.
So what's driving those party numbers? Is it the party leaders? Last November, when we first polled the seats the Tories gained from Labour, Boris Johnson was getting a net negative rating. He's now got a positive one. Keir Starmer, over the last 4 months, has gone from positive to negative.
And so this is something Labour need to look at. Why is this the case? Why have his opinions of Keir Starmer dropped so much that people look at him unfavourably, especially now, because he's dropped, by about what's that, 10 points? Boris Johnson's gone up the other way by about 10 points. So why is it that people in these red wall seats seem to like Boris Johnson more than they dislike him, and they dislike Starmer more than they actually like him? Like, this is painful stuff here, because these are the voters that he is going to need to win back in order to have any shot at general election next time out. So Keir Starmer's got some reading to do, and if the Labour team do not get out to these seats and start talking to people, socially distance and all that stuff safely, then we're going to be in real trouble here.
55% of all the voters we polled said it was unclear what Keir Starmer stands for.
I've been saying this for months. That we don't know what Starmerism is. We don't know what he actually believes in, and that's what makes it difficult to support him.
37% of Labour supporters said the same.
So you have, over a third of Labour supporters in red wall seats saying that they don't actually know what Keir Starmer stands for. And I'll challenge you to ask that other, percentage of people, what does Keir Starmer stand for? Because I don't think anyone could tell you. I could not name many Keir Starmer flagship policies. In fact, I couldn't name any. The only one I could name, I think, is that he doesn't want to rejoin the EU. That's about it.
I think Boris is strong, and he says it as it is. And if he disagrees with you, he disagrees with you. He'll tell you straight away.
I mean, that's not true. He'll tell people what they want to hear. So this guy again.
And Keir Starmer?
No, he's too hesidant.
So Keir
He is too hesitant.
Starmer, well, he started off good, but he's sort of fizzled out in my eyes.
The workforce is drawn from seats like Redcar, voting Tory for the first time in its history 2 years ago. Labour would have won it back on our November poll. In the latest poll, it stays with Boris Johnson.
I don't think anybody else could do much different.
Yes.
And that's the failure of Keir Starmer, that he had to put himself out there far more and say, this is what I would have done differently. He's not been doing that enough. That's the main issue he's had, where some people out there genuinely believe Boris Johnson was following the science when he kept delaying lockdowns, when that's simply not the case, and Starmer needs to push far harder on these things. It's embarrassing.
Starmer wouldn't do a better job. What do you make of him?
I trust him as far as I can throw him to. No, I'm not keen.
Yeah.
I think they've got a lot of things wrong. I think they should have closed the borders and all that before, when it first started.
But you don't blame Boris Johnson for that?
No, not really. No. He can only do what he thinks and what he's told.
He missed 5 Cobra meetings and delayed the lockdowns. He was told to go into lockdowns. So, again, I don't know if these people do follow any of this stuff properly, but, the argument that he did his best and he did what he was told to do by the advisors is just wrong.
You'd stick with him for now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just wish he'd comb his hair. Do something with it.
The vaccines rollout has boosted the Conservatives here, but Rishi Sunak's budget also seems popular.
This is a budget which isn't, helping people that are sick, because the sick pay is about £97 statutory sick pay. It didn't include self-employed people, but people, on the whole, liked the furlough scheme. But it should have gone much further. And Labour have failed again and again to point that out and what they would have done differently.
With this furlough and things, the money has to come from somewhere, and people have to, tighten their belts.
So that's a guy who's fallen for traditional Conservative framing on economics.
Our poll suggests the budget earlier this month has gone down well in seats like Redcar. A big majority supporting the idea of corporation tax increases.
That's something Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are against. So here you have a policy where the Conservatives want to actually increase tax, which is a rarity, on business especially. And 47% of people support it, 20% of people oppose it, right? Labour are against a corporation tax increase. This is a tax on profits, by the way. It's so painful to see what the Labour Party have become.
A majority too for the idea of freezing income tax thresholds. Where the government does come in for fierce resistance, though, is over the 1% pay offered to NHS nurses.
So this is the reason why Starmer has pushed so aggressively on that, because he knows that the NHS 1% pay rise is unpopular. It should be far higher, and people know that, and Starmer knows this. That's why he's pushed on this so aggressively, because he will look at the polls and say, look, that's what's popular now, let me jump on that, instead of changing the narrative. There was a quote I saw the other day saying that, the wind sort of stopped on Labour's sail and it's not moving, but bruv, you have oars for a reason. You can push the boat. You can start manually trying to change things and changing the narrative by going out there and making the point. Also, the fact that, Keir Starmer won't actually say how much he wants the amount to increase to. The only thing that they've said is that they want it to increase by 2.1%, which was the already budgeted amount. Like, the SNP are offering 4%. You're just looking like idiots.
A big majority against that.
For them to get 1% is just, they may as well just not give them it in the first place. I think it's shocking.
You think that
It's mad disrespectful.
Chancellor's good news?
Yeah, definitely.
Rishi Sunak?
I think he's good.
Well,
Don't we?
Good.
Definitely. He seems to have his head screwed on the right way and everything about him, isn't it?
Our polls
I wonder what that other dude was going to say. That was a bit weird.
suggest voters here think the Tories have the better policies on areas like COVID and running the economy. Labour's leader.
Could you imagine we had one of the worst death rates per capita, right? We have a massive recession that is going to get worse before it gets better because of the furlough scheme is ending. Okay, so that might change some ideas, but at the end of the day, people still think that the Conservatives have better policies on COVID. Like, Jesus Christ, like, come on, man.
On the NHS has dwindled to virtually nothing. That's helped pull voters who looked like they might have strayed last year back into the Tory fold, raising the prospect that seats people thought would never turn blue might just stay that way. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Redcar.
It's just madness, it's absolute madness that, it's possible that these seats are going to remain Conservative because of Keir Starmer's failure in the vast majority of areas. He doesn't have a message. He doesn't say what he would do differently, and he's just seen as a guy who just criticises the government just because, instead of actually doing his job and stating which policies and which areas he would do things differently. The dude backed the TCA, the Brexit deal without even reading it. Like, bruv, like, come on, man. Like, he's an absolute joker, and it is getting more and more frustrating to talk about him, and anyone who still supports him right now as the leader of the Labour Party, who thinks that he's doing a great job. Like, sort your head out, man. Sort your head out, because he's doing an awful job as a leader. The guy is rudderless. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. All he does is he looks at the polls, looks at the way the wind is blowing, and then he's like, all right, that'll be my decision today. Like, that's not leadership, especially not within politics either. I'm just so frustrated. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think on the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.